and happy Monday. Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Safe Place Live. We are on episode 57. Super
Holy
excited.
cow.
I know, we're almost to 60.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we'll be at 100 and keep going. And
Keep on going.
right? Awesome, awesome. So I
Yes.
hope everybody is having an awesome night, had an awesome weekend, had an awesome past week. I know my week was pretty busy. I had a lot of decals in the last, what, 2, 3 weeks.
That's
So,
awesome. That's
yep,
great.
sent out another 31 or something today from the weekend.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And then we got a new vinyl that I'm excited about. I should grab that real quick. I will be right back. I should have grabbed that before we went live, but I wasn't thinking. But hold on 1 second.
Okay. And then she leaves me alone. Let me go over to YouTube and pop out the chat so I can say hi to everyone.
Hello, Dwayne. Hello to everybody that is lurking and hasn't said hi yet. I'm back.
I'm
um,
popping my chat out here.
Sounds good. So I will show this while you're doing that.
Okay.
So it is a rainbow holographic silver.
Oh, how cool.
Yes.
That
So
is really
super,
neat.
super excited. Had to learn over the weekend how to um like work with it because it's definitely different than the other vinyl. And so, our supper was really good. Did Tommy send you a picture, Dwayne? We had grilled cheese made to perfection by moi, and we had cabbage soup.
Wow.
Hmm
I'm not sure what this is in front of me. Dwayne just handed it to me. I'm like, oh, great.
So I know that Barbara messaged. I did send you a link, Barbara, if you're listening. Come in whenever you're ready. Um, we'll wait for you. Um,
And then I can eat
so,
my dinner.
so how was your past week?
Try to think if there's anything. I've been meatballs and potatoes in a creamy garlic parmesan sauce. There you go. Um, uh, Reading still the same author, the MC Club. Um, my sleep has been way off. Been falling asleep like between like 4 and 6 in the morning,
Oh wow.
and I know, but I can't think of a single good story. I'm gonna have to make something up.
Why not? There are other people that do.
And, we did go out to dinner with Dwayne's family last night, and my 3 kids plus daughter-in-law and Chance, my future son-in-law. My mother, we're going to start shopping for a care center for my mother.
Okay. That's a
So
good thing, right?
I don't know.
You don't know. Oh no.
I, Gary, he he can't handle anymore. So as far as relieving him of the great stress, but care centers are thousands.
Yeah.
Um, and she'll die within weeks after she gets put in there.
Oh no.
I know some people live for years in care centers or they can't. I know my mother, she won't. And then with the whole COVID, I don't know about seeing her. My stepfather is anti-vaccination. It's like, I don't think you're going to have a choice. As far, my mom's going to have to get vaccinated to go into a care center for the COVID.
Oh wow.
So,
Barbara, I did send you the link again. you're going on through your computer, right? If you go onto Facebook and you click the link and follow the steps, it should let you in. I have not blocked anybody or prevented anybody from jump on. Um, that's all open yet. So, but let me double check. Guests. Oh, hold on. Okay. Guests must authenticate. I just fixed that. So try it again. I didn't know it was fixed, but I did want to double check. Um, but yeah, it's been like every single day. It's been so busy. No, I have not blocked you, Dwayne. Not at all. You're Mr. Sassy. But I haven't figured out if you and James, which one of you is Mr. Sassy number one? Both are about equal at this point. Yeah, try that link again. I already clicked on that one. I might have to. I'm just double checking here to see. Oh, yeah, I just blah blah blah. If I could talk, um, just double check to make sure that came off.
And we got Perlini in the house.
Hello, Perlini. How you doing? Oops, I clicked the wrong one. What was I gonna say?
I don't know. Talking about being busy, of
Yeah,
your vinyls.
yeah, I do. I kind of like this vinyl. We had to learn how to work with it over the weekend because it's different. It's a little different. It's not too bad. It's a little different for cutting, but once we figured it out, it was like beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love it, and I can't wait to be able to do more stuff with it. We've got a 24 by 60 roll of it. So that's a lot of this vinyl. I'm super stoked. It says that browser has blocked mic and camera. Um, hold on, let me think.
Oh, weird.
That's her browser.
So yeah, that's on her end, right? That it's
Yeah.
done it, not
Mm-hmm.
have to.
I
I have
refresh,
no
like
idea.
exiting out of your browser and then signing back into, you like clicking on the link again to bring up your browser. If not, you might have to unplug your um, mic and camera if you have external. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's definitely something with your browser. And I can't think off the top of my head how to fix that.
I have no idea.
I'm trying to think because I've had that happen before, and I think I had to go into the settings and okay it or something like that. But I can't remember. It's been a while.
You had Tommy come and fix it.
Yeah, Tommy helped me fix it. And so I don't remember exactly the step by step on that one. Trying to think.
And so now what?
I'm looking to see on my.
When my laptop does that boop boop sound, do you hear it? Okay. Because for some reason, my laptop tells me when Jeremy gets requests to play video games. I don't know why.
When he gets requests to play video games.
Yeah, from his friends. It shows up on my laptop.
Are you guys using the same login? Um,
I I don't know.
because I
Maybe.
know because Jaslyn earned herself a TV and a Roku up in her room, and
Oh.
and she's using my net or my Roku login stuff. So last night she kept saying she couldn't switch the user for Netflix. And because she ended up watching a bunch of anime under my Netflix account. I don't like anime, neither does Tommy, and they're not allowed to watch that stuff because it's just ridiculous. Okay. And so all of a sudden I go to turn on Netflix and there is a bunch of anime. So we called her down and we're like, "You're going to lose your Netflix privileges if you continue to watch anything anime." And so, anyway, come to find out because I up downstairs in our bedroom, the Netflix account is signed into my Netflix. She can't when she goes on her TV and stuff and goes into Netflix, she can't change it because it's an older Roku box. So I have to go into the one in the bedroom and me and Tommy's bedroom and change it there so that it shows up on hers because everything's controlled because it's the same account, Roku account.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I realized that last night, and Jaslyn kept asking me, "Is this how it's supposed to do?" Which is exactly what I said. And I'm like, "No, it shouldn't be like that." And then when I went upstairs to her room to try to change it for her, um, I Googled and she was correct.
Uh-huh. Here, hang
So
on 1 sec. Let me see if Cheryl's here. I don't think
sounds
she is.
okay. Let me try to drop it in for you in chat.
I didn't think it was her quite yet. It was somebody turning around in
Okay.
front of the house because they I'm on the second street or the second house on the street on the right, and so when they get to my house and they realize they're on the wrong street, they turn around. And if they don't realize they're on the wrong street, they make it to the top where it's a dead end and turn around. So as I'm sitting here at my desk watching out my front window, I watch cars turn around throughout the day. And
I think Tommy's on the phone. He's like yelling. Or it sounds like he's yelling down here.
who's he yelling at?
No, so it's really weird
Mm.
because the other day we were down here and it sounded like the kids were arguing. So we called them downstairs to find out what they were arguing about. And like we weren't arguing, we were just talking. The
So the acoustics.
Yeah, the acoustics from upstairs when it comes down here, it sounds like people are yelling and fighting upstairs when there's not. So it's weird. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So um
You know,
it's
when you're not in front of your camera, like when you're upstairs and nobody's down there, weird noises happen.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Um, when I'm down here by myself and Tommy's not down here and I'm not live and I'm just doing some work, um, just like working on putzing around and stuff on my computer, I hear weird crinkly, like somebody's walking upstairs, but nobody's walking around. And so, like, especially after we're live and I go to get off after we've talked a little bit, and I'll start shutting stuff down and like it sounds like somebody's walking, so I'm expecting Tommy to come down. Tommy's asleep in the bed. The kids are already in bed sleeping. And so it's like,
Cause it there was some like kind of weird squeaks, scrapes, kind of sounds like somebody's moving stuff around. And
yeah,
so
our
and it was on Tommy's, so I could see more of the room. And so I was all watching to see if I could see, you know.
hey Crystal, how you doing, girl? And it is weird because like there are times like in the middle of the night when the kids are sleeping and Tommy's sleeping and I can't sleep. Um, I always think like the cat is like jumping down like off the counter and stuff like that, and I'll get up and check because it's so loud, and it's usually coming from the kitchen area. And um, as soon as I get up to go check, there's no cat, and she's coming. Because when I get up, she like can hear us walking around, so she'll come downstairs and meet me from upstairs, and I'm like, okay, but you can tell that she had just come downstairs. It's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
This house is really strange. I've seen a little girl in our house that I thought was Jaslyn when we first moved in. Um, and Tommy has seen her um, about a month after his brother passed away. The little girl, it was weird. It was around the time that his brother had passed away, but a month later. It was like
Mm-hmm.
4 o'clock in the morning. And he was just like starting to wake up. And all of a sudden, he said he saw this little girl pop her head to the side from because we have French doors.
Yeah.
And she looked at Tommy and said, "Wake up!" And he thought it was Jaslyn. So he got up and she disappeared. So Tommy went up to go check on Jaslyn, find out why she was up and being so creepy. Jaslyn was passed out cold. It wasn't Jaslyn. And I'm like, and he's all, no, no, I was just like, if you ask him about it, it's funny because he'll be like, no, no, I was just waking up. I was dreaming it. And I'm like, no, you weren't. No, you weren't. Trust me, you weren't. And then we have an old lady in our house that I've seen.
The pervy
And I
old
call,
lady.
what's that?
She's the pervy old lady.
Yes, she's the pervert. So, um, I don't know. It's weird. Like the first weekend we were here, we didn't even have all our stuff in the house yet. And where our bedroom is, because we have the French doors, we had them open, and then we had our couch, because our bedroom walks right into the living room, dining room area. And I was sitting on the couch. We had a sectional, and oh, there she is. And so, anyway, um, I was sitting there, and it looked like this little girl running from her closet to the other side of the room. And I tried to like record it, but every time I tried to record it, it would stop. I set the phone down, start watching TV, and it would happen again. I'm just waiting for it's saying Barbara needs to connect their mic and cam before you can add them to the stream. So she probably has to approve um her cam and mic. So Barbara, if you can hear me, click on your cam mic wrench down at the bottom of the screen. And when you do that, just go to your camera, click on camera, and then there's going to be a drop box, and you just click whatever cameras you have. Same with audio, and it should work. Um, Hopefully, she'll be able to get that fixed. But yeah, I mean, we have weird things that go on. We got the bumps in the night.
This house doesn't. Well, Jeremy said there's something downstairs,
hmm
but I haven't felt or seen anything upstairs, and I don't spend much time downstairs, so
Yeah. Um,
I gotta
I
sneeze.
and then there's been times too with the little girl that I see that the kids will be gone to visiting family and stuff, and they they're gone for the weekend, and I'll come out of the bedroom, and all of a sudden I'll see like the little girl run but around because we have this like little partial chimney thing that sticks out in our living room, and I'll just catch her running around into the kitchen, and then I'll like walk as fast as I can without hurting myself, of course, into the kitchen. And it's like I see her go around up to the stairs, and then I walk up the stairs, and there's nobody there. It is. And of course, we have kids in the neighborhood that were messing with my kids because they had family supposedly that used to live here. And so they filled my kid's head with a bunch of BS because they ended up talking to the grandma and it was a bunch of BS. I don't know. But the little girl is in like a old white dress, like a nightgown type dress. And so I don't know if something happened. We can't find any history on the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really weird. And this used to be uh, logging and farm area way back in the day. And so we think it might have something to do with that. Um, yeah, Barbara's having a hard time getting in. Not sure what's going on with that. Barbara, why don't you, if you can hear me, back out and then come back and I'll drop the link once more in
Now I have
chat.
to blow my nose. Hang on.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure what's going on with her computer. Might have to work with her later on that. I need to refresh my YouTube. It froze on me. There we go. All right. We just got to wait for Barbara. So, how are you guys all doing so far? I know this has been a lot about us, but um,
Yeah, I'm still concocting my story. We had some really nice weather, and so I was able to get out and do some walking. Today it's been ugly weather. Um, it'll snow a little bit, but nothing that sticks, and it's
see,
just kind of gray and wet.
yeah,
Cold.
it was let's see, it's been in the 60s the last few days again. And
Did you see Barbara's
yep,
note?
yep, I just let me respond to her real quick cuz usually if I talk and type at the same time it doesn't work out.
Yeah, yeah. So my grandkids got the cutest earphones today. They light up. Oh, that sounds really fun.
Okay. Yeah, my daughter got a pair for Christmas. Are they the unicorn ears or the cat ears? No, it's a unicorn. It's a unicorn because it's got the two ears and then it's got the horn and they light up. And unfortunately, the unicorn part, the horn, never lit up. So it was supposed to. So I think we got a defective pair, but it was the only pair that they had where we got them. So, and she got them for Christmas. So the um, from when we bought them to the time she got them, it was um, a little crazy. Oh, there she is. There she is. All right, let me remove this out of chat. Okay. Hello, dear. How you doing?
Oh, I'll take. I will tell you, this is technology is an adventure.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
Do you have your YouTube muted?
Um, I don't know.
Just
Is
go
your
to your
YouTube
YouTube.
turn? Is it pulled up or did you close it down?
Well, okay. What I did was I took the other device and that one is I turned that one off. That one's off.
Okay.
This is an old device that has a history of dying on me. But it's the only one that I know that I can get on a panel with.
It's
Uh,
camera.
um, so we're gonna see, but the only thing I can't do is I can't see the chat. Um,
Okay.
so I have no idea what the chat is saying.
We'll tell you if people are
Um,
talking about you.
Yep, and I'll put it up, I'll pop it up on the panel so you can see it, or the screen so you can see it. If you guys have any questions,
so
feel
I
free
am
to
sitting in
ask
my
them.
I am sitting in my kitchen on an office chair, and this is the only room in my house that that has sufficient light. So you're just going to have to bear with me.
That's all right.
Okay, I was diagnosed with depression over 20 years ago, and I probably had mental illness prior to that. And the thing is that living with mental illness, when you finally learn about it, when you finally find out that you have a mental illness after 50 years, you kind of wonder, well, what could I have done differently if I would have known that I had this?
Absolutely.
Yep.
After these 20 years of actually living with it and living on and being medicated with it, I've come to the conclusion that it doesn't make any difference when you start dealing with it. You just simply deal with it.
Right.
You just simply start learning, and you learn very, very quickly. And what happened to me within the last week was definitely a learning curve. I'm not going to. Most people, or most women will say, will never tell you what their age is. I'm going to tell you my age because the thing is, it's important to know that when you get older, age really doesn't make any difference anymore. It really doesn't.
As
And
in, it doesn't need to slow you down from progressing and learning in life. Is that what
no,
you're
but
referencing or referring to?
yeah.
Okay.
So what happened this last week was a learning curve. I was assaulted by identity theft, and the thing is, all my life I had been that big tough girl, the one that always found an answer to whatever situation came my way. I was the one who followed the rules. And sometimes I got the raw end of the deal, and sometimes I didn't. But when this identity, I kid you not, what I went through with this identity theft brought out a topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And that is the shame of having a mental illness. Or the thing is, it's the shame of being taken advantage of. I realized within the last few days, I don't care who you are. The guys that attempted to take the identity from me were smooth talking, professional con men that do this full time This isn't a part-time job. This is a full-time job. They work together in teams, and they are millionaires. They make good money. They buy nice clothes. They wear beautiful jewelry. They have nice cars. All because they know how to take advantage of someone else.
Right.
And so that's all I'm going to say about them. But I'm going to tell you the other side of this story. And that was how this old woman, by the way, old women actually are really, really talented at doing this. Everybody thinks that they are so weak and mindless. And yet, we sometimes, because everybody dismisses us, they don't realize that we have the time to figure out what we have time to notice the cracks, the cracks in people's stories. Although these guys were really, really good. I have to admit, they were really, really good. They weren't good enough to get any money from me, though.
That's good.
And it was all because I did something stupid. I put my finger on the wrong place on my phone and dropped a phone call. And because of that, it gave me the time to come to my senses, which I did. The worst part of all of this is once it is all over, you find yourself still believing some of the lies that they told.
Yeah.
And this is where the shame comes in, because you keep telling yourself, I should have known. I am smarter than this. I should have caught this. And yet I didn't. Not at that moment, I didn't. And as the gut level self of myself started seeing what was going on, I was able to see these lies for what they really were.
Right.
And as I saw the lies, then I also, at the same time, reached into that toolbox of mental health tools and dug out some self-confidence and said, hey, this could happen to anybody. It was just your turn.
Yeah.
And
Perlini said that her daughter was taken for a lot of money with the scammers who tell you to go get a prepaid card and then give them the numbers off the card so they can get the money. And she said she honestly thought they were doing her a favor. There's nothing you can do about getting the money back. Yeah, the scamming and the
that's
hackers and
yeah.
all that, it's getting bad. It's getting bad.
The whole thing is the scam is always there. And Perlini, that's exactly the same scam that they were pulling on me. And the thing is, I have heard the story over and over and over and over again. And yet, when it happens to you, you don't remember one of those stories ever.
Right.
It never clicks in your mind that it's happening to you.
Yep.
But you notice it, but you start realizing it when you have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And but what I am, but my message is that you have what you really need to do is to deal with the shame, that people put that people the stigma, the stigma of anybody who falls for that has got to be crazy. And yet it's dealing with shame is just a very, very, very difficult thing to do.
You think it goes along with, when you're in a situation and then it's, I don't know, it'd be more extreme than this, but maybe kind of the same category of, like, you come up with the right response, in the middle of the night, kind of, if somebody says something rude to you and then it's hours later that you're like, oh, I know what I could have said. Do you think it kind of falls under that in a way? As far as it's like, if only your mind was sharper, it would have come to you sooner.
No, that's called delayed. That is part. Actually, that is part of what. That is part of an introverted personality. That an introverted personality will see a situation, and they're the ones that'll say, "Let me think about that." They're the ones that never catch the joke, and yet hours later, oh, now I get it. That was funny.
I think we've all had those moments. Or
and that is part of a personality. The thing is, a lot of your administrators have this have this characteristic, and that's why they a lot of and I think a lot of politicians have that same. They have their story, and and people present them with something, and then they'll say, well, we'll work on it, we'll think about it, and then they'll come back with an answer later on. But
or something else that
what I'm talking about is this is this feeling of being worthless because you should have known better. It's kind of like you've got well, years ago I found out a very, very valuable fact, and this has to go back to my religion. They say that there's these things called the 10 Commandments. And I always thought that the 10 Commandments were there because they were ways in which we could be better people, and that we should always strive to do exactly what the rule says. And then I found out that the 10 Commandments wasn't a ruler that we should go by, but it was a proof that we needed God to rescue us from the fact that no matter what we do, we can't we can't measure up to all of those rules all the time. So the thing is, when I was dealing with this shame, of this 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 psychological mind talk that was saying you should have known better. That's the part that was incorrect. I should not have known better because of the fact that I'm not a perfect human being. So why should I expect myself to be any better than anybody else? And when I come to that realization, then I'm on the right track. Then I can forgive myself, and I can go on. One of the things that I am really, really amazed at was the process that my mind went through at very, very slowly finding out that the things that I thought were true were really lies. And the process, I'm not talking about the fact that the things that were presented to me that I thought that they were true and then they turned out to be lies. It was the process in which you discover that what you thought was true was really a lie.
And I think that totally falls under gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what gaslighting is, but all I know is that the first thing I did when I got home was I sat down and I took a pad of paper and I wrote the whole story out from beginning to end. And then when I got to the end of the story, then I started backing, going, when I got to the end, then I started reversing the story and going back to where the first lie, and then at the end, I'm actually at the first lie. Even though there may have been 20 lies, you know the 20th lie first, and then you go to the 19th, and then you go to the 18th, and so forth until you finally get to the very first lie that started the whole thing. And so in the end, they did not get 1 penny of my money, but it did cost me $75 to clean my computer that had been totally hacked. And it's been a lot of work, and I'm not done. I'm not done changing every single one of my passwords. And they all have to be different. None of them are the same.
And then you got to write them down.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I have a book.
Well,
I actually have it in my will that when actually it's in my advance directive that if needed they can access all of my passwords and everything in this particular book, so that the family needs to know that they have to look for a book.
You know, I went Trance Jedi. Yeah, that's hilarious about the Nigerian princess with a deep voice and beard. But no shame in being scammed. You know, for myself, like I've said, I have a pretty good BS meter, but that doesn't mean I know what the truth is. And it's usually just a general feeling I get about the person, you know. But I like to think that people want to be good in this life, and I think that's a lot of us are that way. We believe that others want to be good, and the truth of it is people, not everyone is that way. And so I think, though, the day I stopped being completely shocked or horrified or just disappointed even in other people's poor behavior, I never want to be that desensitized that I lose that. And because that lets me know that I still within myself have my own sense of morals, right and wrong and such. And when you come upon someone else who doesn't have that, and you just remind yourself that's not you.
Yeah. Perlini said there is a man here on YouTube who kept them, the scammers, on the phone for 2 hours. Gave them
I've heard about that stuff.
His name is Cajun Coin Hunter. His video is Scamming the Scammers. His video is awesome, how he played it out. Yeah, I think I actually got a notification for that, but I haven't had a chance to go and watch it. I know that, yeah, see, Perlini says, I have a notebook with my passwords. I do too.
You have to not lose the notebook. How do you do that?
Well, like for me, Aunt Kelly, can you guys hear me?
You're kind of quiet.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, things are a little bit quiet on your end.
How is that?
You're gonna have to talk some more.
Testing.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. For me, I have a notebook with all my passwords in it. And I've had that for a couple years. And anytime a password changes, we go in or I go in and I change it in the notebook. And the notebook has, what it is on the front. It says passwords on the front, and Tommy has that so that he has access to it. Like when my spleen exploded, he was able to get into anything and everything that's on my computer. That is why we started it.
Dwayne can get into anything and everything because I have to have him help me set it up. I can never, for the life of me, I can never set up a password right. Like it gets rejected, or if they finally accept it, then I can't remember which one, it's like, well, what version of that did I just do? I just suck at that stuff. I wasn't meant for technology, really.
Hey, Aunt Kelly, try turning up your sound on your phone. He's like, doesn't either screaming to the mic or turn it up. My mic is turned up as far as I can. You
Look at
might
it
have to
echoing.
turn up your sound there, Auntie. I did that the other day too because I was like, you need to turn up your sound. You need to turn up your sound. Here it was, my sound was down. I'm like, whoops.
That's funny. And now here's the thought,
Evan, how are you
Barbara.
doing?
Now you said you'd say how old are you? How old are you?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, 72.
Okay, so you are a decade younger than my mother. Something that in talking with my grandma, and then having been raised by my mother, I think, aren't you still part of the whole generation of shame? Because now, like I've taught my children, something I was raised with was shame on you. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I never did that with my children. Now, if they were really screwed up, I'm like, well, that was stupid. But I never wanted them to feel like they were less people due to screwing up. It's like, well, I hope, lesson learned. Life goes on. But I do know that generations back, shame is a great controlling tool. My mother, later, she learned differently. But I tell everyone that my mother was perpetually disappointed in us, and sometimes people are like, "I'm sure she wasn't." I'm like, "Well, she sure said it a lot for someone who wasn't." But so question being, do you think that was instilled in you to feel that way, a part of your upbringing due to your generation?
Okay, the thing is, I was in the first batch of baby boomers. There's two groups.
Yeah.
There's the first group, which were children that were born after World War II. And then there was another group about 10 years later, and they have a little bit different values than the first group. We were raised, things were fairly affluent at that time. The thing is, I don't ever remember having to be hungry. I don't ever remember not having Christmas presents. I mean, but the thing was that we saw from that affluence, out of us came that oh, what do you call it? It's the feeling that we, that we have all this affluence, but it really doesn't have any truth or value to it. And so if you saw the hippies and the music during the late 60s and 70s, that was where a lot of our mindset was that we were trying to find some real value in a society that was pretty much set in stone for us, and we didn't like it without
from the black and white to the shades of gray.
Yes, that was because the 40s were really, really black and white. Everything was black and white. There was no doubt. But it was when the 50s started, then the kids started asking this darn word. Why? How come? Children never were even allowed to say stuff like that back in the 40s.
Yeah.
Because that was considered disrespect.
Yeah.
To question.
I grew up in a household that was very old-fashioned. Kids were to be seen, not heard. Yes, they encouraged questions, but not like I don't know how to explain it because it sounds really bad, and it really isn't. At least I hope not. But if we had questions, it was you ask them when it's just you and your parents and your siblings, not when you have company over. We were told to respect our elders. Um, they taught us, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Anybody that was older, that's how we were to address them. And so I know I was born in the 80s. I was born in 1980. So I know that at that time it was very different. Like a lot of people that I know that are my age weren't raised the same way I was. If that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah. You were raised similar to what came out of the late 40s. That's exactly the way I was raised. And it worked. And because that's in that northern part. Okay, now did you grow up down in Florida?
Until I was almost 11 years old.
Almost 11. Yeah.
Yep.
And so it just happened to be that the culture that you were in at that time was very, very conservative. And but the northern cultures changed very, very quickly.
Yeah, everything's changed really, really quickly in the last few years, and I can't keep up. I really can't. And like with my kids, I try to teach them, you need to respect your elders, you need to show respect to your parents. Don't argue with me when we have people around, don't argue with me when we're live. Don't show disrespect. And it's because for me that's not appropriate. And sometimes because of the generation that they're in, and they were in regular school for a while, they are very, I mean, they're not rude kids, but sometimes their attitude is rude. Does that make sense?
Yep, I
And
hear you.
so it's like, I will make Jaslyn mute if she's live if I feel that she's just a little bit inappropriate, and I'll be like, hey, no. There's just certain things that you say and there's certain things that you don't say. And when you have a conversation in your home and it's a private conversation, it doesn't need to be shared out there into the world. If because we explain things differently than most people, most likely. And if she's got a question and she wants to ask, that's cool. But don't like twist things to like make yourself look better. I don't even know if I'm explaining this right. Because, well, Heather knows. Heather's been there when I've tried to talk to Jaslyn and she like twists things that I say. And it's like, wait, no, that's not
Kids are
how I
good at
said it.
that. Yeah.
I'm like, that's not how I said it. I said it like this. Why are you saying it like that? So I'm in the process of trying to teach them both, and Tommy too. We're trying to teach them, you know, don't twist it to fit your agenda when you know that's not the correct way and what was said.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so this generation, I've noticed kids, they like to twist things to fit their agenda and make themselves look better by twisting what actually was said or done. And so that really sucks, because that gets people in trouble when you do that. And then people are looking at you like, wow, you're a horrible person. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Because I have had
So
people question me.
good at playing the victim role when it's
Yeah, and I think
convenient.
it's the generation that we're in. And
The lack of accepting responsibility for your own screw ups.
exactly. Well, 9 times out of 10, Jasmine will admit if she was messed up on something. She will admit it. She will apologize. She will, try to correct it. Our son, on the other hand, we're still in a work in progress. I don't know why he can't get it. You can't play like you
He
can't
might not
do.
ever get it.
He might not, but at least we're trying. They're raised in the same household, the same exact way, and they are complete opposites.
I know, isn't that crazy?
It is
They come into the world who they are, and each kid needs their own rule book. And no matter how hard you try, you're bound to screw up, and ultimately they're going to choose who they're going to be.
Yeah. So Crystal actually put up a good comment up here. Trilogy Media is a great channel. They actually track the scammers and confront them. They send them glitter bombs and send the police to their
Awesome.
homes. That is awesome.
That
And
is so awesome.
I did drop their link in chat for anybody who wants to check them out. Because I just pulled them up and their introduction was or like their video for like their
Yeah,
page. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know
But
either.
but I was just like, "Oh, I'm interested." Like immediately it already had my attention. So I did drop their link in chat if anybody wants to check them out. Um Kevin has a great point. Stupid is a powerful word to use towards a child, should not be said. And I agree with that. And even when, you're very frustrated and the word comes out, you're like, hold on, let me rephrase that. Your actions. Now, see, when I went to trauma informed parenting classes and regular parenting classes, I chose to do that because I wanted to be a good mom. And I had no idea what I was doing. So I chose to go to parenting classes, trauma informed parenting classes. And in there, what they say is if you're mad, like so pissed off at your child, you don't look at your child and say, "You piss me off," because that mentally causes them to automatically shut down. What you're
You're
supposed
letting
to tell
yourself
them,
feel pissed.
what's that?
So you're letting yourself feel pissed off.
Right. But what they told us to do is how you say it is your actions are not acceptable. You need to change them.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the most important lessons I learned with parenting is that it wasn't about me. It was
Right.
my job to do the best I could in guiding and showing a good example. But I think that's when people mess up the biggest is when they think that parenting is about them. It's like, no, it's not. It's
It's
about,
not.
yeah, it's about the child.
You want your child to grow up and be this
Here. Here, kitty,
successful
kitty, kitty, kitty.
person who's
Yeah.
kind and loving.
Well, and something my daughter remembered that I had told her, and then like I don't know how long later was she said, I told my friend what you said, and I'm like, what was that? And it was you. You always remember the lessons you make from royally screwing up.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, she she listened because you do. You know, and if you don't, you really screw up again and again until you do learn the lesson.
Yeah. And I, as a parent, I have like seen my kids start to do stuff and be like, because I went through it. So it's like, no, I know how this is going to turn out. You can't do this because, it's bad. And I was also informed that I had to take that safety net away because they're never going to learn unless they experience it themselves. You can tell them how it turned out when you
Yeah.
did something, but you have if they don't want to listen, that's the choice that they're making and they have to learn that lesson on their own. They can't just take your word for it. They have to, and some kids do. Some kids do. But majority of them, they have to experience and make the choice themselves and learn from whatever they choose in the process.
Yep.
I think that's how
I
I
I looked at it as when my kids were young, you know, I would teach them, talk to them, and review and talk over. And then by the time they were about 16, between 15 and 16, is when I would stop talking so much and start listening more.
hmm
And you are right at that. You're approaching it. You're just at that. Yeah, where. And there were times when my kids would tell me things that I'd be like, I'm not going to get upset. The window of communication is open. I'm just listening and will share my thoughts and views if asked. And I'm not talking about extremes, harsh, dangerous. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. Just
Right.
the, like I always said, I figured at 16, it's your kids' turn to start making choices. And with your guidance, hopefully, because in 2 years they can walk out that door and never turn back. And so you want them to practice making choices and remembering that if they mess up, it's about learning because they're still at home. They're still, ideally have a roof over their head and food in the fridge. And not everybody at
Clothes on
16
their
has
back.
that. But if you, I took Love and Logic, the course, a couple of times, and it was, you want your kid to be able to say, I recognize this world we practiced at home. And
we've tried so many different parenting
techniques.
Thank you.
Yep,
And
same.
most of them did not work. Love and Logic was not something that my kids.
I can see how, it worked with my oldest son. With my youngest son, it was all about 1, 2, 3 magic. Have you read that one?
Yes, we
did that.
book.
Took the course, yeah. And with my youngest son, it was there's a wall you can put your head against anywhere we go. But it got to where if in public, I could just hold up a finger. And if he was, his big thing was swirling around and being disruptive and such, being on the spectrum, being ADHD. When I just need you to just be patient for a moment, was, basically what it was that I was wanting. But yeah, I'd hold up a finger, and if it didn't stop, I'd hold up 2 fingers, and I could just keep a conversation going after we finally got it down and do it and not interrupt what was going on in public. And Jeremy knew. Of course, consistency is the hardest thing. It's like, be consistent with your parenting. It's like, I'm not inconsistent within my own personality. How am I going to be consistent with parenting? Yeah, it is so hard. I would not go back to the beginning for anything.
Like with Jaslyn, all we have to do is like, maybe twice we have to say with her, and she'll stop.
Joey's a different story.
Joey's a different story.
I hear you. Yep. And
Joey has to be closely monitored and repeatedly reminded, like all the time, and it is frustrating. And we did another one, how to have a better kid in 7 days. We tried that one. We made it 3 days, and I wanted to rip my hair out with Joey. He just doesn't respond like Jaslyn does.
Yeah, like what you would expect.
Child.
He's unpredictable. Is that?
Yes,
yeah,
very much so.
That was Jeremy.
And so, I mean, we've had so many tests done on him. Everything comes back inconclusive because they can't get him to actually sit down long enough or to pay attention long enough to figure out what's going on with him. We had a sleep study done with him. It came back inconclusive because he wouldn't sleep.
That would be me.
So it's like with him, it's very frustrating. It's very, one way. We have to stick to the only way we know how to get him to stay in line. With Jaslyn, so much easier. And everybody kept saying, oh, boys are so much easier than girls. So much easier.
Different.
Not in this house. She tries to not. She can get a little disrespectful sometimes. But all in all, she is the easiest of my 2.
What were you saying, Barbara?
Well, what I was going to say was that one of the things that I learned is that when you're raising kids, there are what they call communication channels, and each kid will fall into one of the basic. Each kid falls into one of the basic communication channels, and once you figure out what it is, then you use that channel because that's the one that's going to be most effective in getting your message across.
That's awesome. I want to learn about that still.
There and it's based on your senses. Um, the best analogy is when you use like a classroom or like a church. Um, the people who are in what they call the kinesthetic uh, uh, communication channel, those are the ones that those are the ones that love to be hugged. They love to be um, touched. They love to be at the front of everything. If anybody needs help, they want to be there hands on. They are the hands on people. Okay. Um, then if you'll notice farther back in the room, there'll be the group in the middle. And those are the auditory people. No, the optical, the ones that use the that communicate with their sight. They're great readers. They do not. They always like to see everything that's going on, but they really don't want to get involved. They just want to
That would be
watch it.
Joey.
They just want to watch it. Okay. Then there is the auditory. These are the ones that will listen. They couldn't care less about reading. They couldn't care less about seeing what's going on. And for God's sake, we're not going to be in front where we have to volunteer to help. But the people at the back of the church who are just want to hear everything, that's where the mothers were all with all the crying babies are. And so it's kind of a comical situation when you get all these people that are, but the thing is, it still comes back to the fact that if you find the communication channel, for instance, if you are a verbal and you have a kid that's a reader, write him a note. Write him a note and keep passing notes, to the person who, okay. And if it's a person that just has to be involved, that's the communication channel that's going to work, that has to be involved in everything. So that's what that's what helped me when I was raising my daughter, was that I just had to finally realize that I was approaching her from the wrong angle because she just wasn't responding. And then when I changed the communication channel, then she started paying a little bit more attention, but things really didn't actually, to tell the truth, things really didn't turn around until years after she had moved out of the house. And now my daughter and I, we are the best of friends. We just absolutely adore each other, totally. And I am so grateful that I have her in my life. She's really, really a wonderful gal. And I'm really thankful that the rest of you welcomed her into this community because she has become a much, much better person since she has become part of the reseller community.
That's cool. Yeah, I was trying to find. Okay, so you were talking about the communication channels. How do you look that up?
It's in psychology. It's a psychological thing. You just basically use the senses, and like for instance, the kinesthetic ones, they basically combined the touching, the smelling, and the tasting together into one communication channel. So, like for instance, if you've got a kid who isn't listening, who isn't reading your notes, try baking him a pie that he really, really likes. or if there's something, or if there's a smell that he really, really likes, that's going to get his attention. Or if he's the kind that you can't say anything, you can't do anything, but just simply touching him on the shoulder or reaching over when you want to get his attention and touch him on the arm and give him that. Oh, by the way, the look. The look will work in that case. So everybody's muted.
My mic muted on me. Ha! Go figure. My bad. With Joey, it's really hard to figure out what um type he is because he doesn't like to be touched. He loves to read, but his reading, like, yeah, I realized I realized I was muted. My bad. With Joey, he only retains what he likes to read. We try to have him read anything else. He won't retain it. Um, he's like all sorts of different things rolled into one. And so it's like it's really hard. The only way we figured out as of right now to kind of keep him in check is to have him near and watched while we're doing stuff. We have to have him with one of us at all times. And it's frustrating. Love him to death, but it gets frustrating. So, but yeah, I did realize that my mic muted and I was like all excited because I was started talking and nothing. Go figure. Well, hello.
Cheryl, she's been on once before. Some of you may remember when her internet is rather lacking.
It's always like that too.
So she came over.
And I was very late because there are two very bad wrecks on the freeway, one of them fatal. So
Oh.
yeah. I was listening to you guys in the car on the way.
Well, I'm glad you made it safe, and prayers to everybody that was involved in them accidents and their families.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, but it's spring in Utah.
Yeah, it was
Yep.
snowing at my house when I left, but it wasn't most of the way here.
Oh wow. Yeah,
If
see,
people want
we
to drive
haven't had
fast and it's
snow
all too slippery.
probably the last 2 weeks, maybe even a little bit longer. But we're getting rain.
We get
So
very little rain here.
yeah, so we're gonna be hit with rain this week, and so I thought people drove crazy when it was just snow. When it rains, it's kind of bad. It's worse. It's
And the
worse.
worst is when it actually does rain after it's been hot for a long time, and then the oil on the roads, and oh yeah, that's always bad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I got about 6 inches of snow at my house, and then it all melted.
And we didn't get any, but yeah, hit a storm. Yeah, it's just crazy weather right now. That's how it always is this time of year.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I love rain. I love thunderstorms. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want to be on the road with them when
Yeah.
it's happening because people do drive crazy. They do. I don't know. A lot of times drivers, at least around here, I'm not speaking anywhere else, but you would swear they got their license from a Cracker Jack box because they don't know what they're doing. There's
Utah
probably
drivers are pretty bad.
20 or 30% of people in here. I don't think they honestly do have their license.
Maybe that's the problem here too.
They don't have license. Yeah, half the people that have hit me didn't have licenses or insurance.
Yeah, I was rear-ended once, and I had just pulled my car out. We had worked on it, and I was taking it to the gas station around just right down the road from our house, and a guy plowed right into the back of my car, and let me tell you, I was not a happy camper. I had coffee in my hand, and it went all over. I was pissed. And so I pulled into Quick Trip. He pulled up behind. I got his license plate and a picture of his license plate, the front end of his vehicle, the back end of my vehicle, and then he took off. Never paid for anything, never did anything. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then he ran from us. Every time he saw us, we would go and try to follow him to talk to him, and he would run from us. Then they purposely moved. So, because they actually live just right around the corner from us.
So did you ever call the police?
No, we ended up not calling the police. It wasn't worth it. His mom supposedly was on disability, and he was just running to go pick her prescriptions up. But yet, she promised she was going to pay. She talked with Tommy about it. I was pissed. I ain't gonna lie, I was pissed. And changed their number, moved. I was like, really? So I don't know. People are just
Being on disability
irresponsible.
is not an excuse to not have insurance and not.
He didn't have a license either. We found out
Oh,
he didn't
lovely.
have a license and he didn't have insurance. It was her vehicle, and he messed up the front end of it. I was like, you shouldn't have been on the road.
My oldest got a ticket beforehand.
What's that?
My oldest, he got a ticket for doing something stupid. He didn't have his license, and the police showed up at our house. It wasn't horrible stupid. It was just, it was just a bad idea. And anyway, the police showed up at the house, and they're like, "Is he a good kid?" And I said, "He was."
Until he did this, right?
But that's the thing, is we never got mad at him for it, because we just let natural consequences happen, and he ended up, Dwayne took him to court. He had like a $500 ticket he had to pay off, and I never said a word about, I didn't like sure get after nothing. It was like, well, it looks like you got something to take care of here.
Yeah.
And he has never backed into another car and left. I can. Yes.
Perlini said people drive crazy here, love running red lights. Crystal, She said, "Ha, try Vegas drivers. No one is from here and have no idea where they are going, or they are staring at all the lights." Now, when we were in Vegas, we took a cab from the strip to where we were staying at the hotel, and the guy ran the red light. I had been drinking rum, so I wasn't driving anyway. We were just walking, and I couldn't do it anymore. My feet were starting to hurt. So we got a cab or Uber, whatever the heck he was, at one of the casinos. They had a bunch lined up, and he ran the red light. Let me tell you, my rum buzz was done real quick. I was freaking out, and so yeah. She says cab drivers here are crazy, right?
Where is she? What state?
She's in Las Vegas.
Okay, that was okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, my
Perlini says
sister's
that's
young.
why we wait when we have a green light because of red light runners. Yeah, we have that around here too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're in the country. We're safer in a bigger city than we are in the country. In
You
the
have
country towns around here.
lights in your town?
What's that?
Do you have traffic lights in your town?
We have two.
Oh, very good.
We have a
And
lot of stop signs. Um, but we have two stop and go lights in our town, and two, and constantly people are going through them.
they don't know how it works. Huh?
Last summer or the summer before, I can't remember which summer it was because the last 2 summers been really crazy for me. I don't know how many license plates I could read because they were so close to the passenger door of Tommy's truck. It was scary, freaky. I will be right back. So I gotta mute and turn my camera off, but I will be right back. I have to run upstairs.
Well, I guess it's just you and me, Heather.
Okay. So we live in different towns, but we're both just east of State Street, which is completely insane. And I hate driving on State.
Me too, but I had to drive on state for a while because the freeway was at a dead stop.
And yeah, because if you're going down State Street, it's a three lanes going both ways. And if you drive past what you had intended to stop for, it's like, oh well, maybe next time. There's no getting back to it. So, but how old is your daughter, Barbara?
My
Dwayne
daughter?
doesn't. I guess Dwayne doesn't know we're still online. But
Okay, my daughter?
yeah,
Have you ever seen any of her videos?
I don't believe so. No.
No,
Okay. My daughter's YouTube name is Countess April.
Okay.
And she probably does. Okay, you live in Utah?
Yeah.
Okay, she lives in Boise.
Been there many times. Well, plenty of times.
I've been there a couple of times. That's where my brother's tanker unit is based out of.
Yeah, Boise is actually greener than Salt Lake, which is interesting. But yeah, aside from all the one-way streets, Boise is a nice city.
Yeah. Yeah, she's
My ex lives up there somewhere.
she's in her 40s, and she's been in Boise now. Between Boise and Portland, she's been in the mountain areas probably for maybe 15, 20 years, something like that.
And where are you? What state?
Minnesota.
Oh, you guys are far apart.
Yeah. I'm actually closer. I'm probably fairly close to Destiny. because she's
Okay.
in Wisconsin.
And yet Boise is what, 6 hours? So,
I think it's more like 5.5. I can make it in 3.5.
but
I used to, I used to, I used to work. There was a time when I lived in this, when April and when April and I were, when April was just a teenager, and we spent a couple years in Idaho, and we were living in uh, north. Let's see, north of Twin Falls, in a little
Okay.
town called Kimberly, and and then also another town west of there called Buell, and
So how
and
come
then
Minnesota?
and then I decided I and then things fell apart real fast, and I left my husband. So
So is Minnesota home? Is that where you're from originally?
yeah, I
Okay.
was born in northwestern Minnesota, and so
You
um
back to
how
5 years?
Destiny, how far are you from Minnesota?
About 2 hours from the border, from Minneapolis.
Um,
Wait,
what, two
two
hours from
and a half
Minneapolis?
hours. What's that?
2 hours from Minneapolis?
Yeah, we are 2 hours, 2.5 hours from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay. So you and I are about the same distance apart as my daughter and Heather.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My
That's
daughter is
cool.
in Idaho and she lives in Utah, and you live in Wisconsin, and I live all the way over on the North Dakota Minnesota border.
Oh, wow.
But if you take the interstate, it's only 5 hours. It's only 5 hours to Minneapolis from here.
Oh, wow.
But you
The
just take,
furthest,
huh?
so the furthest I've been in Minnesota was Annandale, Minnesota.
Yep.
And
Annandale. Yeah.
yes, and we stayed at a haunted bed and breakfast that's there.
That
I
does not
love that place.
that does not surprise me. There are some wonderfully haunted places in Minnesota.
Yes.
So,
And I went because I wanted like okay, so it's a very weird story. The lady that owned it and ran it, um she said she was a psychic and that the place was haunted, and I was like, okay, let's check it out. So me and my ex-husband went, and we walked into the building, signed in, gave us our room key. She had, I don't know how she did it, but she had my ex-husband take the stuff up to the room. She pulled me aside and she looked me straight in the eye and said, "He is going to kill you if you do not leave." And I was like, "What?" Like nobody knew about the stuff that happened behind closed doors. And sure enough, we left. And a couple days later, he tried to kill me, and I was like, gone. But that lady was so cool. She had like it was a 3 or 4 story building, and it was so awesome. I loved it. It was so relaxing in there too. Like the atmosphere was very calming.
there is a haunted building not far from where I live. It's in a town called Fergus Falls. It's called the Kirkbride Building. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous looking building on the outside, but it is totally haunted because it used to be it used to be a mental institution.
Oh, wow.
And so if you ever Google, it's Kirkbride House or the Kirkbride Building, and the looks of it, it is absolutely it's got a central building that is really yeah,
Is
okay.
this it?
Yep. Okay. See that brown part in the center?
Right here?
No. Farther down. That thing.
Right here.
Okay. That thing right there. That is the main administration building. Okay.
Okay.
And then there are these little buildings that go out all the way around the side. Right.
In here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, they get progressively more haunted the farther you go out on the side. In other words, the administration building isn't very haunted, but each building connected to it going farther out, and the most haunted are the ones on the far end. And then
Here and here.
and then yeah, those are the most haunted.
We're gonna have to check that out.
And there
Leanie
is,
wants to know, has this been on TV?
has it ever been on TV? I doubt it.
Huh,
Okay.
that's surprising.
And there is a cemetery there, and they say that is frequently haunted at night, and it's ghosts of children,
Oh, wow.
ghosts of children who had died there.
Oh,
But
wow.
but that is, and the city of Fergus Falls is trying every which way to figure out a way to tear it down.
But it's a historical building, isn't it?
It's historical, but it's still there. They were going to sell it to a company that was going to use it as a destination, but they couldn't do it because of the fact that it is a historical building, and too much restoration would have to be done to it in order to make it so it would make money. So it just sits right now, and they're still trying to decide what to do with it. But it's a fascinating. Every year, people go down there in groups just to simply hunt down the ghosts that are running around the Kirkbride. So
That's cool.
But-
I would live in that.
We don't let things be old here in Utah. We crash them down
Mm-hmm.
and put big old huge business buildings.
Ugly ones.
Yeah.
The federal courthouse looks like a big evaporative cooler. We call them swamp coolers here. So that's the joke around downtown, that it looks like a big swamp cooler.
I didn't even notice that. It's funny. Yeah.
This place is gorgeous.
Ooh, nice.
I love the architecture in there.
That's way cool.
Yep. So anyway,
Perlini says, we have
That's-
swamp coolers.
Yep, it's got to be dry, dry, dry. We do not. This house did have one originally. You can see the hole that got patched in the hallway, but we have central air. I hate swamp coolers.
Yeah, I hear they're not good.
No, they're useless.
Having a squirrel moment. I gotta get off of that. I love haunted places. I love haunted stories. I do. I love all that stuff. He says he's gonna build me some homemade ghost hunting equipment.
Awesome. I was looking that stuff up once. You can spend a lot of money on ghost hunting equipment.
Yes, yes, you can. But you can also make the same thing for way cheaper.
I'm sure. It doesn't look as cool though.
I think I have
What's
an old
that?
who just use
Yeah.
that for EVP.
Yeah, if you make your own, it doesn't look all cool like the expensive stuff.
There's nothing wrong with duct tape and super glue.
Oh, duct tape and baling wire, that'll fix you up.
Dwayne just said, so when you
Oh,
come out
yeah.
here, we can go to the Skinwalker Ranch. You know what? I just watched a documentary on that.
So our neighbors up the street know the family that owns it. Everybody knows the family except for us. Anybody who lives around here knows the family that owns that. And yeah, he was so the neighbor, he was driving truck up around that area, and they told him, don't slow down. If you see something weird when you're going past it, just keep on going. It is very, very alive with
Paranormal.
yeah. Whether it's ghosts or aliens or cryptozoology stuff. Skinwalker Ranch has it all. It used to be Native American ground, and then the Native Americans wouldn't even go there. So, yeah, it's freaky from what I hear. I want to go there. Well,
I want to go there.
they won't let you on the
I watched
property.
a documentary not too long ago on that, and I thought it was just one of those. Let me think. One of those made up documentaries. You know how they have
Oh,
real
yeah.
documentaries and then they have the like
No,
made up documentaries.
Is that the documentary where some guy took older dead guys' recordings about it and put them into the documentary? And the dead guy was really interesting to listen to, but the guy that put it together was really boring. I've seen that one.
I've been it.
I know there's been multiple done on it, and yeah, they don't let you on there. I know there's people who do stuff on the property, keep track of it and such. But yeah, not open to the public. And all the cows got abducted.
Really
But
needs
actually,
more.
I know there might still be some cows there. They end up with holes in them.
Brandon.
Yep. Yeah, Brandon Fugel is who owns it now. It's traded hands a lot because nobody knows what to do with it.
See, in the documentary, it said too that people would buy the land and the property, and then shortly after buying it, they would sell it. So it's been through a lot of owners.
Yeah, so this man didn't buy it to live there. He just has it.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was just one of those made up
No,
documentaries, but now that I know that it's actually a real place,
freaky stuff happens there.
we got to take Tommy out there because he's not as he doesn't say that it's not that he doesn't believe, he just needs real solid proof that it's real.
Is it the one that's around the Uinta Basin?
I thought it was more towards. Where is it, Dwayne? He'll tell us. He'll Google it if he doesn't know.
I could Google it. I've got my phone. I just thought you might know.
Sometimes I
There's
know.
a movie.
It's really hit or miss, but I know. Depends on the day.
Let's see.
Yeah, Cheryl's looking it up where it is. Yeah.
It's also
You
known
is
as
it in Uinta County?
Sherman
Yes.
Ranch.
Yeah, you would. Okay.
Southeast of Ballard, Utah.
Okay. I remember it was in Uinta County because I was watching a podcast, and these guys are just in Denver, and he didn't know how to say Uinta. I was surprised.
Really?
Yeah. I thought that Denver was close enough he'd know how to say it.
Well, there are some weirdly pronounced places in Utah, like Manaway and Hooper.
Oh yeah, we did that with, remember Destiny, the night that Dwayne and you and Tommy and I, we were finding places, towns and stuff, and we had to sound it out, all the Native American stuff. Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
have
that was kind of
Hooper.
funny.
Yeah, that was very entertaining.
Yeah, we were doing a video chat and we were pulling up different towns. Like, so Wisconsin's known for a lot of Native American names for towns. So we were pulling them up and we were like, how would you say this name? And and then they would do it to us. For
And then you put
Utah.
a little alcohol in the mix, and
Let me tell you, I failed almost every single Utah name there ever that they ever showed us.
and well, when the state is literally named after a tribe.
Yep, the Ute Indians. I think
Yeah.
we found these in the tops of the mountains.
And we've got, what's her name right up there? Timpanogos.
Yep, Mount Timpanogos.
Yep. Timpanogos, she was a Native American that died. And you can see her across the mountaintop, and her lover's heart is in a cave somewhere.
I don't think I'd heard that one.
You've
And
never
I
heard that one?
should have, because Mount Timpanogos, everybody knows.
Yeah, I've never been up there because it's a bit of a hike, but to go up to the cave and
Yeah,
Well, then the Bridal Veil Falls dead bride hitchhiker story.
it's not too far from here.
Yeah, it's just up Provo Canyon.
If you see a bride hitchhiking, keep on going.
trying to see.
We should probably start our goodbye since I think we've run out of things to talk about for the week.
Oh, I can talk about a whole bunch of stuff. I had a crazy week. Our dog's been in the hospital. My car broke down. I bought another one. My phone broke. I bought another one.
Oh my! It's an expensive one.
Not a good week.
No, my sister's father-in-law died of COVID.
Ouch.
Oh,
Ivan's dad died.
I didn't know you had a dad. Like I know originally,
Yeah, well, he was estranged for a long time, but a few years ago they got back together.
And that was gone. Wow.
Now he's dead.
Wow, that's sad.
Wow, I'm sorry.
I
to hear
guess
that.
he was not careful about it. He liked to hang out at the American Legion building without a mask, and they think he probably caught it there.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still alive and well here in Utah, especially up north. Things are more casual down in southern Utah, my sister said, but it's not as densely populated. And
Well, it's been more casual down there the whole time. You've got tons of mask testers, including law enforcement. They won't enforce masks because they're all very far right-wing crazy people.
I'm not heard doing
I got nothing against Republicans. Most
just
of them.
Jamie to get that far out there. Yeah. And I had to unfollow some people on Facebook because the only response I could come up with was, my white privilege doesn't prevent me from getting sick. So I just unfollow.
Crystal says there is a haunting story for just about every hotel in Vegas.
Oh, I'm
That-
sure. Yeah.
I believe.
And I think Las Vegas is pretty high on the suicide scale, for one thing. And so, yeah, whenever you get the old hotels, like the inn that my sister works at in southern Utah, Yeah, they got some ghosts there. Nothing scary, just some spirits hanging out.
Yeah, we have. I was trying to look up the Devil's Lake. We have a place called Devil's Lake here, and I'm horrible at remembering the history of it, but I know that at least twice a day they have to go out and do a rescue because people fall off the side of the cliff.
Well, we have a lot of that sort of thing happen here.
Yeah.
We're like in the mountains, so there's always people hiking and
Yeah.
not being smart about it.
The thing is you're not supposed to like go out there. Like most of it's usually closed. And it's usually when it's closed that the more calls come in that hikers have fallen off the cliff and gotten hurt.
That's what you get for making a bad decision.
I was just seeing
Yeah.
on the news the other day that Angel's Landing has like 11 deaths a year. That's in southern Utah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. People doing things they shouldn't. There's the movie of the guy who got caught in the slot cliffs, the slot canyons.
Oh, is that the one that like cut off his own arm?
Yeah. This is like 72 hours or something. Yeah, he hacked off his own arm so he could get free.
I'm trying to let me see if I can find it.
I like pictures of the slot canyons, but I don't think I ever want to go there. Too scary for me. Too many horror stories.
I'd like to go see it, but I don't want to have to camp like in any of the camping areas. Have to go back to a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of places to see here that I have never seen. Dwayne has seen most of them, but I haven't. It's because everything's worth looking at is spread apart.
Okay, so they have the haunted hitchhiker.
I actually enjoy camping. I love camping. If I could get down on my hands and knees and crawl into a tent again, I really enjoyed sleeping in a tent at night.
I don't plan on ever sleeping in a tent ever again. I could count how many times I have laid awake at night in a tent wondering if I will fall asleep.
You just need a taller tent and a cot and a nice young man to set it all up for you.
I've told you, I don't eat, sleep, or shit outside. I'll go look at it, and then I have to go back inside.
Oh, I do campgrounds with bathrooms.
Oh, Heather, when we were growing up, that's the only way to live is to eat, sleep, and shit outside because why would you want to go in the house and mess up the house and
My mom grew up in Salt Lake City. I was raised by a city girl.
Oh, there is nothing more fun than being a country girl because the thing is, there's nothing like taking a poop behind a tree,
Never. I've never done it. No, I am not really what you would call great outdoorsy. Like I said, I like to go look at things, but I don't want to live out there. Was it camping is for people to spend hundreds of dollars to look like they're homeless? Oh, and the Fever Family reunion's coming up, and they all have their campers. I don't know. It's like, do I want to go sit in dirt so I can see my cousins? I'll just wait till the next wedding or funeral,
There's a hotel near it. You can just stay in the hotel.
There is.
Crystal said a lot of people die in the hotels. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a higher suicide rate there because of the gambling. There's so much gambling.
And a lot of drug addiction and prostitution, even if it's legal, it doesn't sound like very good way of life.
And I think a good portion of prostitutes are in it against their will.
Yeah.
Minnesota has a big prostitution problem. I know
Minnesota.
that.
Not where we live.
Dwayne I did have this up before, but I did want to touch base on this. Dwayne said, thinking Red Eagle was the great god of, however you say that word.
Yeah, the Native American. Yeah.
And then the next word.
Yeah, I know a Utah. I haven't seen her for decades, but yeah.
Utana went to the cave with him, and they fell in love.
Yeah. And then after she jumped, Red Eagle found her and took her back to the caves where it is believed their two hearts became one, forming the
Stalactite.
yeah, that is now called the Great Heart of, however you say that name.
So there you go. There's the actual story. I know that.
Well, your husband said, I have hiked to the top of Angel's Landing. There is a big ash chain on the trail to hold on to.
Probably when he was with scouting. That was a lot of stuff he's seen as through scouting. But it got to where I wouldn't let him go on overnighters as a scout leader anymore because he's too old. He'd come back home in too much pain.
Oh no, that's crazy. Perlina said that I used to love camping. We love to camp, but we also have a pop-up. So it's not like we cook outside and stuff like that, but we can't sleep on the ground. Tommy definitely can't sleep on the ground. He's got arthritis and he's got very bad damage from the arthritis. So he couldn't even get up and down if he tried to go into a tent and try to sleep. He wouldn't be able to move at all. And so we do have a pop-up. We are restoring that. I should grab the link to the other YouTube channel. And we're gonna be oops. I can't spell tonight.
They make inflatable mattresses for the back seat of cars that'll like fill up the space on the floor. I want to get those to camp.
Funny. That is really funny. I've never heard of those. I'm just gonna sleep in my bed. For me, having to stay at a motel is camping.
Yeah, the other channel is called Adventures on the Cheap. I'm gonna drop the link. And we do have some videos that we have to work on and put up from over this past summer. But there's going to be, so Tommy bought a boat the other day and him and Jaslyn are going to restore the whole thing. So that'll be on there. We do have a camping trip on there. And then the pop-up that we are restoring is on there as well. There's a video on there as well for that. So if you guys want to check that channel out, please do. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming on or going up on that channel here in probably the next few weeks because they're starting the boat restoration. Heard the Bellagio was for sure. Oh,
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yep. Dwayne said yes with scouts. And then there's the Adventures on the Cheap. Link to the channel there. We still got to I do have to get a couple of videos up on my channel. My birthday bonfire, the house fire from the fire department when they burned that house down on my birthday. Still got to get that video up and a couple other stuff. Some more stuff up too. And let me tell you, I was excited when they lit that sucker up on my birthday.
Turn it down. Yeah.
One less drug house in town. Yay. It was cleaned up. They were sellers. They weren't they didn't make the stuff. They just sold the stuff out of there. So that was one question I did ask. I'm like, they weren't making it in
They
there,
didn't do
were
the
they?
cooking there.
What's that?
You didn't do the cooking there.
No, nope. Although we went to a yard sale. Was it Friday or Saturday, Tommy? We went to that yard sale Friday or Saturday. So Friday we went to a yard sale outside of town. It was way outside of town, and we go to. So the road goes this way and the road goes this way. Rears off to the right, or you can go straight. Well, we missed the turn to go right, and we were going. We had to turn around, and let me tell you, the smell that was coming from the house on the corner there was so disgusting. And Tommy's like, "Ooh, I smell ether," and I'm like, "What? What?" He had to explain to me what
So
that
that's a
why.
cooking house.
Uh-huh.
I'll remember
Yep.
that.
Yep. And then
I can
so we turned
spot.
around and
I
we
can
went.
spot a click house.
What's that?
When you live in Utah, you can spot a plague house.
Oh.
Yeah, especially on the west side of Salt Lake, they're pretty easy to spot. All the big ones in the bad neighborhood.
Oh wow. But yeah, so we turned around, we went down the right road, and then we got to this yard sale. We pull up, and we're like, "Oh, awesome!" Because there was all the nice stuff was in the front. This place was a hoarding nightmare. You walked through all the nice stuff, and they had rows, tables, and then they had trails going through every which way. And so Tommy went down this one trail, wasn't very long, turned around, came back. I walked to go by the bird feeders because they had a bunch of bird feeders. Like, I don't know, this big shelf thing was full of different bird feeders. And I went to turn down this other trail. I stopped, turned around, stayed by the shelving that had the bird feeders because I was afraid I was going to disappear if I walked into that little path because it was going into the woods. I was freaked out. It was so weird. And everything at one point in time, everything that this person had out there was absolutely beautiful. There was vintage stuff out there like you wouldn't believe, but because it sat out in the winters and then the summers, everything was destroyed.
Oh, that's
There
too
was
bad.
no saving. Probably 95% of the stuff. And so, yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And so, that's
Did you
why I
find
call
the
it.
dead cat? There's always a dead cat.
We didn't dig like the path that I was telling you about that I didn't want to walk by myself. I walked with Tommy because I knew Tommy'd protect me if something jumped out and got us. But we did find like one of those old school chairs, desk type things, and on it was two dead mice just sitting there, laying there.
Heather's son found the dead cat in my grandma's basement when we cleaned out her house.
Yeah, because I asked her, like, have you found the dead cat? And because whenever you clean out an old house, there is always a dead cat.
There were thousands of mice and bird skulls in
Ooh.
the dirt in the furnace room. It was like the
they've
furnace room
been
was just
camping
dirt.
out there.
Yeah,
Ooh.
and it was my job to clean the house out.
Oh, yes.
And I'm the one that found the dead cat in my parents' house when they moved.
She even took a picture of it and sent it to me.
Because she was asking me if I found the dead cat yet. I sent her the picture.
Wow. Yeah, we just found the two dead mice on that old school desk. And then I got real close to Tommy because I was like, it was really creepy out there. And the people that were trying to clean out the woods, like they were literally pulling stuff constantly out from further in the woods. This is how bad this place was. Not only was the house, I guess, the garage, the shed. He had this person had a I think it was a greenhouse at one time. All this stuff was jam packed in this place. Like every section of the house and buildings and stuff, they were jam packed with stuff. He had two smaller sheds that were jam packed. Um, and there was stuff out in the woods. They had a now I can't say if it was a male or female. They didn't really say if it was a male or female. I'm suspecting it was a male. But just because of some of the things that were out there, there was like a lot of tool stuff, a lot of things that men are more likely to collect than a woman.
Man toys.
Yeah, man toys. There was a old log cabin behind the house, and it was a trading post on the top front. It said something trading post, and it had been made of old wood, like logs and mud.
Interesting.
And so we knew it was old. The glass looked like at one time it had been replaced, but then somebody had smashed out one of the windows. So I went to walk in there and I saw that the window was smashed and it was wide open. And I'm like, yeah, I think I need to get out of here because I don't want no critters jumping up at me. And but it was beautiful. The architect of it was absolutely gorgeous, even though it had you could see that it was showing age finally because it wasn't taken care of. But just the concept and the design of it was just absolutely gorgeous. And I told Tommy, said we're gonna have to try to build something like that for the kids in the backyard. That could be their like little hangout room or something. Um, and so there was that, and then there was um, like stuff up behind the house further down. There was a path from the little cabin thing to go back further, and there was like old school chairs from probably like the 60s, maybe 70s, and there was a bunch of those. And then Tommy keeps saying he needs to get a fat man chair, which is like those heavy duty back in the day chairs that didn't break no matter what you did to them. And they had a couple of those back there. And I was like, hey, there's your fat man chair. And he's like, no, he's like, that would fall apart on me because it was so rusted. And it was so sad and creepy to see how all this stuff just sat and did absolutely nothing but rot, get broke, and just plain old disgusting. Tommy's like, "Oh, we should have recorded that. This would have been a great thing to pull
Heck
people
yeah,
in." I'm
I was
like,
thinking that.
and we didn't even get through everything that was there because of the fact that there was just so much stuff. However, we did buy a bird cage for the birds and had to wash it 3 times.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It was
clean it
really
up
nice.
really good.
What's that?
Clean it up really good.
Yeah, we cleaned it up really good, and let me find the picture. Oh, here it is. And so it's like an $80 bird cage, but we got it cleaned up really really good. And let me see if I can get that.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to focus. Hopefully, it'll focus. Oh, come on.
It kind of comes and goes.
Yeah, we can tell what it looks like.
Yep. It's humongous. Got it for $10 and we washed it out really good and we put all of their toys, took all the stuff that came with the cage and just kind of threw it away. we weren't going to give them to our birds and our parakeets. And so we put all their stuff in there, and they are happy as can be. So they are no longer in the basement. They're upstairs again.
Well, good that they're happy.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so we know that they're happy because they stay puffed up, like the happy puffed up, because since they've been put in there. And they're singing and chirping and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So yeah, but that was the only thing that we got from there. And then we left and ended up having to help a lady that was leaving as well. She needed to get to the Wisconsin Dells, and the people that were giving her the directions were confusing her. They were confusing me, and I live here. So I was like, I did something nice. I asked her if she needed to get to the dolls, if she, knew where she was going. She's like, no, they confused me. I was like, yeah, me too. So we just had her follow us into town, and then she knew where she was going from there. So that was our
You did your good deed.
We
That
did
was
our
very
good deed
kind.
for the week. And then Tommy went and picked up a boat. I think it was yesterday. And it's like I said, it's a work in progress, but that's him and Jaslyn project. I don't help. So, do you guys have anything planned for this week?
Physical therapy, doctor's appointments. The dog has to go back to the doctor. She has an autoimmune disease.
So I'm doing a conference call tomorrow with the hospice place about my mom.
Okay. What about you, Barbara? You got anything planned?
Well, I have to get up at 5:45 every morning because I have a diabetic cat.
You have a what?
Diabetic cat.
I don't love my cats that much.
Diabetic cat.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I'd have to send mine over the Rainbow Bridge.
I absolutely, hold on here. Here, you have to meet Talon. Hold on. Come here, baby.
I'm so my dog keeps pissing everywhere. I think he's gotten so old he's incontinent. Because I've taken the bed for that.
This is my babe. This is my babe.
Oh, he is adorable.
Yep. He's my buddy.
Very handsome.
Mhm.
He's looking at the computer like, why am I there? Myself. That's how Gabby gets.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm
and
not
he
sure.
actually,
What's that?
he's staying up with me now because it's getting close to bedtime, and he always sleeps at the end of the bed until I fall asleep, and then he'll go into the other room and sleep. But he has to make sure that I'm asleep and that I'm safe. He is.
That's how Gabby is.
I have trained him to be a companion animal, and according to I live in a HUD subsidized building, and so we get a lower rate of. Oh, isn't he precious?
Oh.
Or is it a she? Is it a she or a he?
That's her in the car on our way back from the pet hospital. She had to spend 2 nights there because she was really sick.
Oh, that's so sweet. So anyway, he is not considered a pet. He is considered a psychological
emotional support.
An emotional support pet.
Yeah. And so the thing is, they can't charge me a pet fee because he's not a pet.
Easier,
So-
yeah, your emotional support.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'll ship you my crazy cat because she's insane. She needs to go over the Rainbow Bridge, and I'll just FedEx her to you, okay?
Our dog is a service dog.
By the way, cats are trainable, much like dogs. But it's a different you train them completely differently. Of course, I've spent I'd say probably half to 3/4 of my life either living in the country or being, or living on a farm or something like that. So I've been around animals and finding out, the thing is, as a kid, when you had to go to the bathroom, you didn't want to have to run all the way to the house to go to the bathroom. So you just found a tree and you did it.
Sure. Yeah, I know that's how country kids are.
Yeah, you just get it done, because if you do it out in the woods, nobody's gonna know. The insects are gonna take whatever you leave back there, and they're gonna carry it away. Who cares?
Yeah, I couldn't do that to save my life.
Well, when you're in
Oh,
a when
you
you're
could,
in an
Heather.
emergency, it's a
Heather,
whole
you
different
could if
ballgame.
you had to.
I
You
couldn't
could.
even poop in a gas station bathroom.
I
Okay.
can't squat without falling over. And then I can't get back up if I do get into a squat.
Growing up, my uncle had land that we used to go to. Since I was 11 or 10 and a half, 11 years old, I always lived in smaller towns. Most of my life. I was born in a big city, but I was raised in smaller towns. But when we moved to Wisconsin, my uncle had what we called the 80, which was 80 acres of land. And he literally, like the first time we went out there, I had no idea that there was no bathroom.
I would die.
And so my uncle had taken and put arrows, girls this way, boys that way. And when you have to go and you're out in the woods, you go. It's just what you do. And
No.
so they weren't taking me back into town to use a regular potty. So yeah. I've had to pee out in the woods before. My daughter does too. She don't care. She'll go behind a bush and go pee outside. She don't care.
Um,
You know.
if you ever get a chance, Google toilets in India, and that will show you exactly basically what it is. It is a hole in the ground with two places to put your feet, and you basically squat down all the way to the ground, and you poop in a hole.
Asia, I know. Some places in parts of Asia have that. There's
Italy has that.
Oh, my sister-in-law, she always packs her toilet paper when they travel. But there's this program who teaches people like in the Middle East how to set up, outhouses. They take it to them and show them how to dig the hole and set it up, and it's very efficient and like fly resistant kind of thing. But first, they said that they have to convince people not to shit on the side of the road. Like, oh my gosh, I don't care how many lives I've lived or how many lives I will live from here on out. No, I would never survive.
The side of their road. This is their bathrooms.
What? There's really that many people that need that? I mean, if it's necessary, but yeah, no.
Yeah. Nope. I'm good.
That's just
That
nasty.
I could not do.
That is nasty.
This
How do you
is
keep from
literally-
peeing on your socks?
It's
Yeah.
Oh, no,
I
because
will
your
send
feet
the
are
other
apart.
picture.
Yeah,
But this squat down and right here,
That's where
right
your
here,
feet
where you
go.
put your feet. It's
No.
crazy.
Yeah. So I guess you can't wear underwear or pants. Just have to.
Well, yeah, you do. You just pull it down.
Then have peeing on.
No, you won't pee on it because you take it down to your knees and then when your butt goes down, then your knees go up.
No one needs to be seeing this ass bear. No, not for a good 30 years now. Maybe once upon a time, but those days are behind me.
This is like the weirdest thing. I would have went over there thinking that they had regular toilets, and I'd see that and be totally lost.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Idiot Abroad? Oh my gosh, some of those were so funny. And his biggest complaint was somewhere decent to sleep in a bathroom. And I would totally be that guy if I had to travel. Like everything would go wrong. Yeah, it's best that I just stay at home.
I was in Europe. Everywhere I went that had security checks, they always stopped me for some reason. Like,
what is it about you?
do I look like a terrorist? I was thin and blonde then too, and in my 20s.
It was the boobs.
Oh yeah, I've got. She makes fun of me for my big knockers.
See, between the two of us, we balance each other out.
Do you see your husband's comment?
Yeah.
He said, "Wow, the show's gone to hell."
Hey,
Oh,
yeah, it's after 9.
We're actually gonna head out. I want to thank everybody for joining us in chat. We apologize for the poop talk.
Anything after 9.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your story of what happened with you this past week. Keep us updated to let us know when everything is done and how it all turned out with them. Ladies down below, thank you for joining. We are gonna head out, and we will see you next Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time. And remember, you are loved, you are worth it, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.